Hi folks, thank you to everyone who's been doing this. A lot of you don't subscribe, and I see that non-subscribe rate to subscribe rate is always out. It is for all channels, but thank you for watching, commenting, giving thumbs up, and if you like and you want to see more of this, subscribing. It's a big help. This week we're looking at the first page of the Oscar noms for 2025. I think a lot of people say, oh, you've got 10 pages to capture a reader. Yeah, you sort of do, but that's not like 10 pages as in, oh, this is garbage for 9, garbage, oh, the 10th page saved me. No, you've got 10 pages to build up. Consider it like forming a relationship. You've got the great first date, then the second date you might get to know each other, third date, fourth date. By the 10th date, you're either a couple or you're not a couple or you're just friends, but you're building that relationship. And it's the same thing with your first 10 pages, first 15 pages. But we're looking at the first page of people that were good enough to be nominated for an Academy Award for Original Screenplay in 2025. So let's see what we can learn from that first page, that first date. The time you open the door and you see the person you're going to go out with, and you either go, oh, or wow, it is the first page of your screenplay. Let's have a read. We're going to start off with Anora. I haven't seen any of these films, so I'm not going to be putting a performance sort of twist on it, or telling you how I imagine how it was played. This is purely on the page. I haven't seen a lot of films lately. Mickey 17, that's very good. Let's start with Anora. Interior, headquarters, Manhattan night. The night is banging at headquarters, the gentleman's club in the heart of the city. A large central part of the room is filled with couches and seats where flirting and light lap dancing is happening. Around the edge of that small curtained off area and rooms where more in-depth dances and interactions happen. A pop song blasts in the club. There are 50 girls and 15 guys downstairs and 20 girls and 5 guys upstairs. Throughout the club, there are 3 security guards, a DJ, the owner, and the owner's right-hand man. The music is so loud that everyone is essentially shouting at all times. The camera dollies down a row of lap dancers, one after another. Some are heavy grinding while others are putting on a show. We land on the 6th dancer who is facing away from the customer as she thrusts back at him. This is Annie, 23. The camera locks on a medium CU shot on her face. Opening credits roll. Hard cut 2. Interior headquarters. Various night later. The camera follows Annie throughout the night, establishing the club's operation, social interactions, clientele, and geography. It's full of private rooms, each with their own style. Annie performs different types of dances, some private, some out in the open. Interior, headquarters, first floor, bar, night later. Annie sweets talks a businessman, 50s, into getting a dance. Interior, headquarters, first floor, night. Annie gives a lap dance to a client. There is a casual small talk with the customer, keeping it light and fun. Interior, headquarters, first floor, night. Annie gives a lap dance to a client in a different area. Interior, headquarters, first floor, night. Annie gives a lap dance to a client in a different area. What are we seeing here? This is Anora. I butchered a little bit of that reading, but I don't read that well, so sorry about that. This is all visual, no dialogue. This is a great series of establishing shots that's giving you, it actually says, giving you the geography of the club. I'll have links where you can download these screenplays in the descriptions below, and hopefully I've scrolled it here. It lets you know she's 23. There's lots of dancers around, and it's called the headquarters. It's in Manhattan. So straight away, Manhattan is not a low socioeconomic area. It's full of businessmen in their 50s. There's various dances going on. There's various activities happening. And having those, they could have done, cut or montage. It still feels like a montage, but rather than being shot over music, shot over music, shot over music, which could be a montage, these are more Scene headers, first floor, late night, first floor, night. And they're slightly more detailed in their description. And there's a huge block of text at the front. And everyone says, don't do anything more than 4 lines. That's out the window. Don't direct on the page. That's out the window. This is a full page of directing. I don't even know if this guy is a writer-director. He could be, but that's a bit of a myth too. He still has to go raise money for this. If it's a piece of poo, no one's going to give him cash, whether he's directing it or just writing it. It still has to be great on the page, and it's so good on the page, it's got an Academy Award. I actually think he did direct it as well. But $6 million I think he raised for this film. And it gives you dolly camera moves. And now the opening credits roll. A hard cut. Not a transition, but a bang, cut to interior headquarters. This is all directing, it's all establishing, and it's incredibly visual. So we've got to remember that. A visual medium, and this is a great example of it, the first page of Anora. Next one, A Real Pain. This is Jesse Eisenberg. Is in this, and he also wrote it. Don't know if he directed it. I was going to go see this, didn't get a chance before it left the cinema. But let's get started. Interior, JFK Airport, morning. As the credits roll, we see a very slow zoom, a very slow zoom in on a young man sitting alone on a bench at a busy airport. Cue, Chopin's Nocturne No. 9, Part 2 plays. We get glimpses of the young man's face as morning travellers pass in front of him. This is Benji Kaplan. He has an absent look on his face that borders on melancholy. When we finally arrive at the close-up, the title appears over his face, A Real Pain. Exterior, Brooklyn Street, day. A verdant Brooklyn neighbourhood. David hustles down the street. He's on his phone, leaving a message to someone. Hey Benji, it's me. I'm still leaving my apartment. Remember, we got to be there 3 hours early. Just ring me when you get this. Exterior, BQE, day. Following David's Uber, from behind, it's stuck in traffic. Interior, Uber, day. David is in the back seat, harried and leaving a series of messages. Hey Benji, I hope you've left already. I'm stuck in a little bit of traffic on the BQE. In case you can avoid it, just ring me when you get this. Then it says, mini slug, another message. Benji, it's me. Good news, traffic is cleared up, in case you were wondering. Anyway, ring me when you get this. End of the page. So much in this, it's so good. Okay, little things like the word verdant. A verdant Brooklyn Heights neighbourhood. Verdant, green. So we could have done 2 or 3 lines there, maybe 4 or 5 lines, at least a couple of words, but he chose to choose the right adverb or the right adjective. Is it just verdant? A verdant suburb, it's a green suburb, which straight away tells you, grassy lawns, trees. It's not a concrete jungle. Great word. David hustles down the street, gives you a sense of performance. Not he's walking quickly down the street, dodging through people, he's got a worried look on his face. It's also a motive. He hustles down the street. Again, single words, great choice, really well done. That's why I got an Academy Award. It mentions music. Sure, Chopin is definitely going to be public domain now. The guy's been dead for several hundred years. But it also sets the theme. You might not know what Chopin's Nocturne Opera 9 No. 2 is. I'm not a big Chopin fan. My brother loves classical. He'd be able to hum this to me. But I get a sense of Chopin heavy piano type stuff, if I remember rightly. But it tells me it's classical music. Credits roll slowly as we slowly zoom in on a young man sitting on a bench in a busy airport. 100% directing on the page again. More directing on the page down here. Following David's Uber from behind, it's stuck in traffic. It's telling us. But all this directing on the page, in Anora and in this, tells us what we're seeing and the sense of how we feel. This is what directors do. They zoom in. There's the famous shot, and it's been done to death, and a lot of people do it. But in Goodfellas, Rob De Niro is talking to Ray Liotta, and Ray knows that Rob De Niro is lying. but they didn't want the whole world to change, because if suddenly the world changed or they did something heavy-handed with the direction, Rob would also see that. If suddenly Ray Liotta performed that, like, "You're lying to me," Robert De Niro would see that on his face. They had to let the world change, but only for the audience, not for the characters. So Robert De Niro's pitching away to Ray Liotta, telling him all these things, and Ray Liotta's acting like, "Oh, that's great, fantastic." So what they did, they pulled out at the same time as zooming in. So in the frame, the two characters stayed the same size, but more of the background came in, because they were pulling a long shot, which gave a bigger depth of field, rather than using a wide lens, which is why you shouldn't give cameras stuff. I should understand it in your screenplays. Still direct, but direct to the extent of your knowledge. So it started to change the world. You, as the audience, could see the world changing, but the two characters didn't acknowledge that change. That's the sort of thing we're seeing here, that we're doing a slow pull in on the kid, seeing this stuff, and from behind the car, so we can see the world around them, and we can see that he's stuck. He's in a situation he can't control. A stuck car gives you that straight away. We cut inside to his conversation. "I'm just letting you know that I'm stuck." So we've never once heard from Benji here. On the entire page, so the first minute or more of this movie is David freaking out and talking to Benji. "I'm packing, I'm leaving, I'm in a taxi," or "the taxi's stuck." "Oh, no, it's not, it's moving again now." David's my mum. When she was alive, she'd ring me up and tell me, "Oh, the train has stopped at this station a little bit longer. I could be late for lunch." "Just turn up for lunch when you turn up for lunch, my dear." So this is more directing on the page. David is a stressed person. We've established that. We've also established a nicer part of Brooklyn. We've established that he's heading to the airport. He's even reminding him, "You've got to be there 3 hours beforehand." So he's worrying about his travelling partner, and his travelling partner's maybe unreliable, because you're reminding him, everyone knows you've got to get to the airport early. He's reminding him of the obvious things. So maybe he doesn't trust him to get there on time. Haven't seen this, but again, well written. Jesse Eisenberg. Download if you want to get hold of this. But great bit of work. This is September 5. This is set around the Olympics. I remember that, the movie Munich, and I was also quite a young kid when this happened in 1972. I would have been 7. But I remember my parents going, "Oh, those poor people, they've just gone there to perform sports and there's been a terrorist attack." We didn't really have terrorist attacks in the early 70s. So this is a little bit glued in my mind as a child, one of my earlier memories. Not in detail, but just that it happened, and the Munich Olympics had this happen. And then the Montreal was after that, 1976, and it had that cool Emerson, Lake and Palmer theme, but go look that up if you want. This is a movie set about in the newsroom of the people covering this story. Opening page. Interior ABC Sports 1972 Olympic Studio Control Room Day. Close-up of a gun raised. Bang. Voiceover. Cut to 1. Wide shot. An Olympic swimming pool. The swimmer dive off the blocks. Freestyle high speed. Voice of commentator and voiceover. That's a good start for Mark Spitz. Voiceover, off camera. Camera 2, close up on Spitz, cut to 2. Close up, USA swimmer, superstar Mark Spitz glides through the water with powerful strokes. Camera pulls back to reveal we're looking at some screens in a wall of monitors. Focused studio technicians sit at a large console. Headphones cover their ears. Hands rest on buttons. Shirts soaked in sweat. All eyes on numerous monitors up front. An excited commentator's voice sounds over the speakers. Sports commentator, voiceover. Now Spitz takes the lead. Look at that style. Those powerful moves. A live broadcast director gives a camera instruction. Director. Cam 1, tight in. Dolly up on me. Spitz. Show me Spitz. Mechanical chatter echoes around command. Copy that, confirm. It feels like in the heart of a huge machine, supplying the world with vital information. Every move perfectly coordinated. A masterpiece of timing and teamwork. Sports commentator, voiceover. Spitz leaves the German swimmer far behind. He's about to write Olympic history here by winning the 7th gold medal. And he did it. Spitz wins. Director, camera 2, ready for Spitz close-up. Someone intervenes in a soft voice. No, the German first. End of page 1. So, we're learning, we're setting a scenario. This isn't so much an establishing shot, though it is, because I've heard this movie is basically all set in this control room. Let's go through it. Lots of voiceovers, different points of view. We're not actually getting any of the audio that links up with the images. We've got that close-up of a hand, bang. Even though you've gone to this, you know it's going to be a terrorist attack, that's a starter's pistol. We're seeing the events. We're seeing how these people are presenting the events. Cut to this, cut to that, show me a zoom in on this, a zoom in on that. We're also getting told, not shown, a certain thing. And some people would say this is unfilmable, but it's a feel, which is down here. It feels like we're in the heart of a huge machine, supplying the world with the vital information. Every move perfectly coordinated, a masterpiece of timing and teamwork. That is the best 3 lines on this page for me, because it tells you how the actions will be choreographed, how people will move, how they'll feel, how the audience is going to feel when they read this. So there's no panic involved. It's nearly surgical. Do this, camera 2, do that, do this. And everyone's moving and they're so focused. They're sweating through their clothes, but what they're doing is the most important thing, and that comes on the page. You can feel this. Voiceover, off camera, they've used the 2 different things here, so you can understand that off camera we're seeing the thing, we hear it over there, but the voiceover is the commentator somewhere else. Maybe it's coming through a speaker, but we get that not in the same room. It's different. Great use of it there. Focused studio technicians sit at a large, so it's telling us, and it's not even naming them at the moment, they're just the studio technicians. As the story goes on, no doubt it'll become more important. Then right at the bottom, in a soft voice, no, the German first. So the person who said that understands that we want to see in this, and at that moment, the East German, or West German, would have been East German, because they weren't unified back then in 72. I remember there was East Germany and West Germany. The defeat of the German, because your victory's better if you see your enemy defeated. So they want Mark Spitz, 7 gold medals. We'll get him at the presentation. He's already a superhero. He's won 7 or 6 already. But we want to see the look of the face on the defeated. So that person comes in, do this. So we understand why they've done it. But now we also know that this soft-spoken voice can overrule what's happening in the room. The director's in charge, this, and that person is just to say, not even yelling out another command, because this is all quick. Camera 2, zoom in, push in on Spitz, go to here, give me a dolly across to that, I want to see this. It's all that bang, 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 like mission control. And these guys are being directed by the director, and they're all moving like you're inside the belly of a big machine. And then that soft-spoken voice, no, the German first. Authority through, yeah, I know I'm going to be listened to, I don't have to yell and scream. That tells us so much about the performance there as well. A badly written version would have been speaking, everyone looks and turns. Good on the page, camera pulls back, lots of reveals, lots of directing on the page, but not a lot, but a lot close in on the swimmers, close in on that. So we've got his direction as well as our direction of him being the director. Lots of layers on this page, but we'll notice one great page, no wasted space, no describing the 1972 Olympic events. There's no describing the pools, no describing the shorts that Mark Spitz is wearing, no describing of the fashions or how people are wearing or what they're wearing, no haircuts, no what people are talking, no establishing shots outside of 1960s cars. Straight into this room, straight in, let the performance do what it's supposed to do, and we learn a lot. And you'll notice that with these, there isn't wasted lines. The most establishing shots was in Anora, where they had to set up an entire gentleman's club, but the establishing shots were all based around the women's actions and around her actions and getting her established as a character through action, not through dialogue. And in a real pain, lots of stuff on screen again, but not a lot of establishing imagery, just that verdant Brooklyn. And then we know what the streets around the BQE look like. I don't know what the BQE is. I've never been to Brooklyn, so I'm taking it it's a road. This one is the substance. The interesting thing about the substance is that that's your first page after the title page. So it actually has two little quotes on it. Everything flows, nothing remains. And then under that, don't you know pump it up? You've got to pump it up. So there's just two little single line quotes to set you up in a mood maybe, get you ready for what you're doing, establish something. That's not the screenplay. Interesting. I thought that was interesting. Now we're going to look at the substance. The other ones didn't have any establishing stuff, did they? Let me have a quick look, sorry. Nope, they just had started straight with a screen header. This one starts with a called out camera shot. So this is for the substance. Fade in on high angle top shot of. So that's very important. But the other ones just go room, interior, airport, interior this, interior that. This is telling you how we're going to see the interior. Directing on the page again, and you should learn how to do that. These are Academy Award winning scripts or nominated scripts. These are the people you're competing against. As a indie film writer, as you're starting out, whatever, if you can turn out this quality, you're guaranteed to sell. Producers and directors and people that buy your scripts, this is going to sound really hard, aren't your family, aren't your spouse, and aren't your parents. They're not going to cut you a break. They want their dollar to go as far as possible. If they can get something of this quality for the dollar they were going to give you, they're going to buy it because it's of this quality. You know, I'm being a bit hard. Here we go. Fade in on a high angle top shot of a raw, uncooked egg lying on a flat surface. The round yolk stands proudly in the centre of a transparent, gelatinous egg white. A syringe needle enters the frame and slowly approaches the egg before planting itself in the middle of the yellow yolk and very slowly injecting fluorescent yellow product inside it. After a moment, the egg begins to shake and move as if something's happening inside it. Little by little, a small growth begins to emerge on the side of the yolk, which grows bigger and bigger and bigger until it starts to form a second yolk, which emerges out of the side of the first one, before finally detaching itself and becoming independent. Both egg yolks now stand side by side. The second yolk, yellower, rounder, shinier, healthier, fleshier. In other words, more perfect. A long beat on both eggs, which stand side by side, then just the word black. The sound of jackhammers, traffic jams, jigsaws, coming from a construction site in the middle of the city. Fade in on static top shot of exterior, Walk of Fame sidewalk, day. A sidewalk made up of large grey slabs. Only one slab appears to be missing, like a big gaping hole right in the middle of the pavement. In the same static shot, workers' hands appear within the frame and start carefully setting in place thin sticks of wood, nailing them in one another. Little by little, the hands start to piece various different elements of a star shape, frame, brass, letters, which begin to form the word Elizabeth Sparkle underneath. The small round crest containing the logo of the camera appears. I butchered that a little bit, sorry. But let's go back to what we can learn from this page. So we've got a top-down shot like this, and it's showing the egg. It is showing when you inject the substance, which is what this is about, a second yolk appears, but it's a little bit more perfect, healthier, plumper. it looks better. So we've visually been told that this stuff makes a copy and the copy's better. Straight away, it's an interesting way to introduce the idea of the substance. Then we go to an exact replica shot. Down. So we've sort of nearly match cut, but rather than a match cut within at the end of a scene, so you say a hand goes out, a hand reaches out, match cut to grabbing a door handle, and now it's a different person's hand. What they've done, they've sort of done like a massive match cut in a way. They've filmed a whole scene down here with the egg, and then to black, then straight back to another sort of shot like that. So there's this consistency of these things. And on the page, you see they've called that out. Fade in on high angle shot of an egg. Then fade in high angle static top shot of the Walk of Fame, the star being built on the Walk of Fame, which I read really badly, I'm sorry. But in there it's just black. One word, black. So it tells you, not cut to black, nothing, just black. On a line by itself and paragraph, black. In other words, more perfect, which is talking about the egg. Some people might say that's an unfilmable, but it's not an unfilmable. It's telling you what you're seeing in just a few words. In other words, colon, more perfect. So it invokes what you're seeing. We could have spent so much time on that. And what we're seeing in these things is an incredible economy of words. So much has happened here. I could see that opening shot, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 small paragraphs, maybe 5, being someone's whole page. You know, they'd talk about, rather than here just on a flat surface, they would say, you know, someone who's not as good as this might say, on a black surface, reflective, the most black thing you've ever seen. A hand comes in, menacingly slowly with a syringe. People love to throw words in to prove how good they can write. This is exactly what we see. All the fancy stuff, if there is any fancy stuff in these things, is to serve a purpose, not to serve the writer, but to serve the script. This is really good. Again, downloadable, but we've learnt unfilmables. We've learnt a lot of directing on these pages and how things happen a syringe enters frame, slowly approaching the egg yolk, planting itself in the middle of the yolk and very slowly injecting a fluorescent yellow product inside it. 3 lines. Imagine how much detail other people would put, menacingly approaching or slowly, all that sort of stuff. And then how it's happening. Little by little, a small growth begins to emerge on the side of the yolk, which grows big, and then there's like ... which grows bigger, ... and bigger, ... until it starts to form a second yolk. So it's like, it's giving you the idea of little by little. It's this sentence, 2 words, this sentence, 3 words, this sentence, 3 words. Little by little, these things are happening. So not even just commas, putting the ellipses in. Ellipses, no, doesn't matter. ... gives you the break visually on the page to let you know what little by little means. Very well written. Again, worth the nomination of an Academy Award. That was the substance. Last but not least, The Brutalist. A black and white montage of architectural elements, a flurry of shapes, curves, angles and shadows. Insert title, Overture. Cue, column. The sonic boom of the ship's hull impacting against the waves. Each redundant crash gives way to a romantic orchestra swell. Interior interview room, Vass County, morning light. Note: ocean waves fight the diegetic audio for duration of the scene. So throughout this entire scene, the waves fight against the audio. Close on. A haunted, brutalised young woman, Sophia, is isolated in the frame. A vast European landscape can be viewed through the casement window behind her. Border officer, off screen, Hungarian. Your escort is right outside. She tells us that you are her niece. Are you her niece? Is she your aunt? Where is your mother? Is she alive? Do you know? Do you understand me when I speak? Do you prefer English or Czech? Own line, no response. Border officer continued. If you're from Budapest, as the lady says, may you please state the name of the street, the number of the former place of residence for the record? There is a pen and a piece of paper in front of you. If you prefer not to speak to us, we suggest you write it down along with your family's name. We will take it upon ourselves to try and confirm this. Do you remember that address? No response. Border officer continued. Is it possible the woman outside is not related to you at all, but simply an ally you made along the way who is trying to help you? You bear little resemblance to another. Will you not punish her for trying to... We will not punish her for trying to help an innocent young woman. We want to help you get home. Your true home. What is your true home? Help us help you get home. Cue. Diegetic audio fades out. Let's look at that. Big blocks of text. Big blocks of dialogue, which makes sense. She's not responding, and he's peppering her with questions. He's in control of the situation. Even though he's in voiceover, she's sitting in a chair. You can see like that. It's framed behind her, big casement window. I haven't seen it, so I'm taking she's dead center in shot like that, which normally isn't that interesting. So she's dead center, casement window outside, and she's being peppered with questions. There's the black and white montage of all the stuff which will set up the era, the age, and where we are, somewhere in Europe. Sound of the ship, blah, 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 blah. Vast European landscape can be viewed through the window behind her. I'm trying to find a bit I'm looking for. It's in Hungarian. Okay. Lots of directing on page, close on. The sounds that are being overlaid, how the sounds are working, and they're working against the diegetic sounds that are in the room. The no response on its own line, no response on its line, are just simple things. Some people could have put beat in the dialogue, but then that block of dialogue would virtually be impenetrable. As it is, they're still very, very large blocks. But you see how they're working, and it's off-screen, continued, continued. When I've done off-screen and then continued, that makes so much sense to me that you know it's continued from that guy, and he was off-screen before, so you don't need to go off-screen, continued, off-screen, continued. Just continue, continued works perfectly good as well. Something I picked up. The insert of the titles, the sounds, and this is a lot of directing on the page. It's a single shot of a woman sitting there, and we know what she looks like. She's beaten down. She's not going to answer. She's not looking around. She's not doing any of that. We get the idea that she's locked down, either emotionally destroyed or whatever. I'm not quite sure how they performed it. Isolated in frame, the vast European background can be viewed through a casement window. I think it says she's haunted and brutalized. Haunted and brutalized. So we know exactly how she's going to be performing this. Great start to a film. This makes you lean in. And also those large blocks of dialogue, because they're well written, you can't put large blocks of dialogue. It's like putting like something bad in your script. And you'll be noticed for putting something bad in your screenplay. You really will. And you'll be remembered for how bad it was. But this isn't that. These are large blocks of text that draw you in. Because he's doing the whole, what about this? What about that? She said this, she said that. He's hoping to get a reaction out of her. What about, and then towards the end, he's now starting to do some accusations. Well, you don't look alike, do you? And we're really trying to help you. We're trying to get you home. Don't you want to get home? Your real home. In other words, you're not coming in here. We're going to deport you, but we're making it sound good because we're calling it your home. So much nuance in those 3 paragraphs in 1 page. So that's those. Tell me the ones that you like the most out of all these scripts. The links are below, so you can download them and read them yourself. They're all in PDF form. Great. I love reading screenplays, and you should read them too. You can just pick up so much in the first page. Sure, you've got 10 pages to get someone in, but if you write a 1 page that's this good, You don't need 10 pages to get someone on your side. Thank you for everyone. I've said before, here's the t-shirt. There's the books. There's the books. 20% off Write a Duet for you. I make nothing out of that, and that's all good. Script Revolution, really good way to sell your scripts. If you're that good, Script Revolution. Get over there, free. You can throw them some shekels if you want, but it's a free service. Producers come, download your work, read it, really, really good. And until next time, keep writing.